There's a whole lot to talk about when it comes to Texas football these days, but especially when we talk strategy. So this is an angle we don't get into as much as I would like here at the Voice of College Football. We got the Texas Homer on the line to talk some hook 'em horns. How you doing, man?
I'm doing great, man. How are you? Thanks for having me.
I am doing just fine. Appreciate you jumping on board. And everybody head on over after you watch this video to the Texas Homer channel. Just put it right there in the search bar, and you will find his channel. Some great breakdowns on the X's and the O's. So we got one of the best in the business coming in on the offensive side in Steve Sarkisian. Completely different staff. So your work is cut out for you in regards to trying to figure out what's going to happen this year, because we're talking a complete different coaching staff. And also the quarterback, who seems like he's been the starter since like 1994, is gone. And so you got a whole new deal. And Casey Thompson's probably going to be the starter, but at the same time, there's still going to be a quarterback battle. So your thoughts about what you've had to work on in regards to matching the personnel that you know really well with what you're learning about Sark and his staff?
That's been the big question. And so whenever I was making a Sark strategy video, I was researching. I probably watched 10 games, pulled interviews from all the contemporaries and a bunch of his interviews and clinics. So he's a big philosophy guy. So it's all about the heart of what he's doing, and then his plays will build off of that. So he's looking to feature guys, right? So he wants a Devontae Smith type, which could possibly be, I'm not going to go that far, but Josh Thompson is good there. Joshua Moore is good there. So he can be used kind of on pre-snap motion and can get away from the defense. And then the biggest thing is going to be Bijan used in the passing game, used almost an absurd amount. So his philosophy is take your best guys, put them in the best positions to win, and then let them go play.
When it comes to Texas recruiting, there hasn't been much of an issue. We know what the record's been for the last 10 years, and pretty much since the conclusion of the BCS championship game in 2009, this program has underachieved under Charlie Strong and under, of course, Tom Herman, who was an offensive guru of sorts. That was the reputation coming in from Ohio State and Houston. I would guess, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, as I've evaluated the talent has been great on both sides of the ball, but more so on defense. The offensive side has certainly been capable of more than it's shown. So what has been your biggest criticism or head-scratching moment in regards to why aren't they utilizing this personnel this way or that way?
So Tom Herman was very particular in the scheme he wanted to run, and he calls it power spread, right? So a lot of air raid kind of passing concepts along with power runs, meaning you're pulling guards or tackles, right? So this is it's very similar to what Lincoln does, but Lincoln has a better understanding there. And so Tom kept trying to force a square peg into a round hole. And so he would try to turn our players into some of the players he had from Ohio State, and those aren't our players. Jake Smith is very fast. We needed him fast, but we bulked him up and made him a little tough guy running around. And so he's trying to force everyone into his scheme, and because of that, and he would not alter from it. And that's what was so frustrating, is that he could not get out of his own way, because you're 100% right, Mark. We have the guys. Our recruiting we have 2 top 5 classes, I think a number 8, and then last year was 17. And 17 is because everybody kind of saw the writing on the wall for Tom. So we have the guys. It's just we have not been developing them, and we have not been utilizing them correctly in our schemes. We had good play callers. Yursich is a good play caller. Tom was supposed to be a good play caller, but it just, for some reason, that spread against the opponents we were consistently playing in the Big 12, they had us sniffed out.
So development's an issue. It's something that has been mastered at places like Wisconsin, where they're bringing in top 25 to 40 classes and turning out top 15 teams, and the opposite, where Texas is the poster child of the top 5 to 10 class that's playing 500 football. So yep. On the offensive side, what would be the development issues? Who are those guys that you've seen come through the program and think, he's the same player as a senior as he was a freshman?
So we had a lot of them, sadly. And so it's Sam was on a great trajectory, and everyone, had their issues with Sam. But if you looked at him marking his junior year, I mean, his junior year was awesome, and he regressed senior year, and I think due to mostly injuries. But we didn't get the most out of Sam there. We couldn't peak with him when we needed to. We have Jake Smith, who was the Arizona Gatorade Player of the Year, super fast, 4.4, 4.5-ish. But we never used him for that. Our strength and development made him put on a lot of weight, and so we lost his value. Then we have Joshua Moore, who had an incident with the school prior, and now he's back on the team. And he's really talented, and he can go up and get the ball on post. You'll see him on highlight reels. So he's somebody too that we kind of underutilized, and at times we realized how good he was, and we would try to force it to him, and that didn't work either. So really, our offensive line, our young guys on there are really good. I like our young guys, but they're still developing and coming up. So I really, besides running back and Bajan, I don't think I've seen anybody hit their full potential. People have done well, but what I think they could do in totality, I don't think we've achieved that yet.
Yeah, you mentioned Joshua Moore, and I think back to the Oklahoma State game in which he caught the game-winning touchdown pass, but he was pretty much absent from the game. I don't think he caught a pass during regulation in that game, and then suddenly, boom, they hit him for a slant. It's a touchdown and a game winner in a game that they got outclassed statistically, but made the big plays on defense with Joseph Asai in particular to make it happen. I'll take this kind of talk all day, so I'll just leave it up to you. Is there anything we haven't hit on either side of the ball that you think is important?
Yeah, I think at the end I'm a psychology philosophy guy and trying to mix it into football and see how it works. And I think our biggest problem last year is that we kept preaching that we were an aggressive team, that you have to be aggressive and we have to be the tough team. But our play calls did not match that. We were, with 30 seconds before the half, we were running the ball out. We were not going for 2 against OU in the Red River Shootout when we had the momentum right then. So the biggest thing for us, and I've seen Sark do this at Bama, especially talking to like Bama insiders, his philosophy actually matches what's going to happen on the field. So you will actually see that attacking offense, exciting, explosive. I think it was something like 14 to 19% of their plays were explosive. That's a giant rate for an offense. So I think mostly what you'll see is a cohesive, logical philosophy going forward, and that'll actually be our foundation to build all of our schemes and development on.
What are reasonable expectations for this season?
Reasonable is national champion. I'm just kidding. Reasonable to me is going to be eight wins, and I really want 9 there. I think reasonable, we can do a top 6 class, maybe a top 5 with how we're trending right now. We did lose the Stewart commitment, which hurt us, but we should be able to trend there. And I want to be in the mix for the conference championship, 2 weeks before, so maybe it won't come down to the last week, but we need to be competitive because this team is competitive, and it should be with our talent.
Good stuff from the Texas Homer. Again, he's right here on YouTube, so you're right here. So just check out his videos. You can type it right in the search bar, the Texas Homer, and check him out right there. We appreciate you stopping by. It was a good time, and you are welcome back anytime, man.
Appreciate it, Mark. Hook 'em.